Hey guys, and welcome to this special episode of The Prestige. As you know, we normally talk for half an hour on a film. We go quite in depth on some theory, some stories, and some ideas around what the film presents. Basically, this week, we're going to be doing a shorter version of that. We haven't got a name for it yet. Basically, it's going to be a shorter episode, about 10 minutes long, in which we're going to dive into a film out of order. So we're still picking up High Fidelity next week, but this week, we're going to talk about one film that we've both seen recently, and we kind of want to talk about, and didn't want to let slip through our fingers. So Sam, what are we talking about?
Yes, well, as you said, this is a recent film. This is something that we're going to be thinking about doing more small batch episodes that focus on new releases, whereas our longer discussions might be like older films, more interesting films that we want to talk about from cinema history maybe. But this film we're going to focus on this week is one that I know we both seen and had very strong feelings about. It's the recently released Trainwreck, starring Amy. I can never remember which one it is, but it's not Poehler, it's Schumer, right? Starring Amy Schumer. So, Rob, your thoughts on this?
Well, just to give those who haven't seen it a quick overview, basically this is a romantic story about a woman, played by Amy, called Amy, who is the titular Trainwreck, who falls in love with a sports doctor and their hijinks that ensue. It obviously kind of comes as quite a boilerplate rom-com, but what really lifts this film is Amy and her sensibility. It is an adult rom-com. It is not adult in kind of XXX way, but in like a adult jokes. It doesn't fall into the same traps that others. There's a very telling moment for me in the film is when they have a fight. She basically doesn't pay attention to him when something's going on that's important to him, and they have a fight about it. And she is very much like, well, we're over, done, I'll move out, bye. Which seems like a very traditional rom-com way of doing it, that scene. And his response is, what the hell are you talking about? We're having a fight, we're not breaking up.
Mm.
And I think that like it was almost a handover into like the idea of a more adult-style rom-com. I really liked it. I thought it was hilarious. The ending scene had me literally in tears in cinema, in laughter. I mean, my wife was genuinely worried about me because I don't tend to react that strongly to films, especially not rom-coms. But I almost lost it with laughter in the kind of the final scene. I thought that Amy Schumer was being big in America, isn't big over here. I thought she was very funny. I thought Bill Hader as her counterpart was also very funny. And I think that LeBron James and John Cena, both non-actors in this film, both did sterling work.
I thought that was... Well, I'm going to be very effusive about this film. I really enjoyed it. But one thing that really stood out for me was how good LeBron James was.
Yes.
He was... Okay, Amy Schumer, brilliant. Bill Hader, brilliant. But like, LeBron James is not meant to be an actor. He's not an actor, but his performance was brilliant in this.
He timed it brilliantly between being a send-up of himself without being a parody. There was he's into Downton Abbey and he's protective of his friend, and it felt like that right kind of balance where he wasn't mocking his persona, but he was just giving it depth. I mean, I think that John Cena, who played her boyfriend at the start of the film, who's more well known as a wrestler, he was more parody comedy. But I still think for somebody who's made a name off being a man's man, a kind of, like an all-American wrestler, he does once again set himself up very well. I think both those performances were kind of pitched perfectly.
One of the things I really enjoyed about LeBron James was how genuine he was about... There's a running joke about him being tight-fisted and not wanting to pay for things and wanting to split the bill when he's on... And I haven't looked it up, but it must be... I said $40 million a year when pressed on it, but it's an astronomical sum that he's on. and yet you genuinely believed he felt like that because it gave you an insight into maybe the way he behaves as a character, and also
Yes.
the way that his competitive streak came out in not wanting to be beating that basketball, even though he's playing a game of hoops with the guy who's, I mean, he's like half this guy's size, but he always wants to win, and he was genuinely put out if he looked like he wasn't winning, and I really enjoyed that.
I think they did great work in selling that friendship, him and Bill Hader. That occasionally when you get these films and they throw in a celebrity as the best friend, it always feel kind of, well, here's my celebrity friend doing something funny, and they got this right. It really felt like him and Bill Hader were friends. Those characters, whilst obviously living in very different worlds at times, they felt like genuine friends.
Yeah,
and you felt that from LeBron James's there was genuine affection for Bill Hader's character.
It felt genuinely two-sided in the way that a friendship should, and sometimes I mean, you said they occasionally throw a celebrity in as a best friend, and it's sort of, well, everyone will bow down and worship this celebrity because this is a celebrity. But actually, in this relationship, there was a lot of LeBron James being needy towards Bill Hader, and Bill Hader saying, well, you know what, I don't want to hang out with you tonight. And it wasn't a celebrity relationship in the way that things like that often are.
Yes. No, I would agree. I thought it was brilliant. My hope is that it's hopefully will issue in an era of sort of more grown-up romantic films. You know, I haven't seen many recently, and I think that's a lot of the quality hasn't been there. So I really hope this brings in something more adult films that I'm going to enjoy watching.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to pick up on is it's been commented on in op-ed pieces or interviews or whatever that this is restoring the balance in some way. This is presenting a feisty female character who can get things wrong in the same way that a male character in the same position could get things wrong and still be a loved figure. But I didn't feel that at all. I mean, I read these pieces before I went into the film. And having seen the film, I didn't feel that at all. I felt she was just a normal human being. And I found that really refreshing in the film. That this was, well, like you say, it's an adult comedy, but it's not adult in an X-rated way. It's adult in a, this is how an adult behaves. And it doesn't really matter whether it's a man or a woman. It's a male adult or a female adult. The important thing is it's an adult. And it really felt like this film had nailed something about what it is to be human, and not necessarily what it was to be a woman or a man or whichever of those.
Yeah, I think that for me felt. I'd agree. I think that it felt like both of them were real. It didn't feel like a fantasy. You know, some rom-coms, be it fantasy for a male or female, can feel like a fantasy role. You know, that this beautiful person slips into your life and changes everything. And this film, whilst both characters go through a change, a narrative arc, it felt hard fought. It felt real. You got why she would change her ways, and you also get why, even when she doesn't change her ways, he stays around.
Yeah.
You know, like the ending of the film isn't like she's a whole different person. She hasn't given up on who she was before, but it's a balancing of that in a relationship. And I think I would sort of hang my hat on that and say that to me was the crux of it. It felt real in a way other rom-coms don't. So I think we've got a couple minutes left. I'm going to throw you open Sam on surprise. A recommendation, just the one, based on this.
Oh, God. You do things like this occasionally.
No.
So, I think the recommendation I would go for is, you said about how kind of there's been a sort of dearth of good romantic comedies recently, and this is heavily signalling the beginning of a new period in cinema. I would go back to a time before romantic comedies had got a bit samey, and you felt you knew exactly what was going to happen, and there was an edge to them. And I would go for Notting Hill. I was thinking of the scene, in particular the scene with, what's the guy, Downton Abbey, Hugh Bonneville. Yes, Hugh Bonneville and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really poignant kind of series of scenes with Hugh Bonneville and his wife around a dinner party in their flat with Hugh Grant, and Hugh Grant has a character within that context, and the way he relates to Julia Roberts in that scene, that series of scenes. So I would say that would be the film to go back to. Also because it has some interesting things to say about celebrity and about being with a celebrity. And I think maybe that this was the last time that a relationship with a celebrity genuinely works on screen. So Notting Hill is my recommendation.
Lovely. My recommendation for this week is going to be a film called Man Up. Came out this year, starring Simon Pegg and Lake Bell. It's the other film I've seen recently as a romantic comedy that I really liked. It felt once again like a change of pace, a change of tempo, a change of genre for the romantic comedy. It is more fantastical and more contrived than Trainwreck, but it has the same kind of sense of humour, but in a very British way. It feels much more of the British version of this. So that is my recommendation. If you want to check us out, you can find us on Twitter at The Prestige Podcast.
You can find me at life_academic.
Or you can find just me under Rob Kaiju.
Brilliant. And we will return next week to, as Rob explained, the schedule with High Fidelity. But for now, look forward to talking about that next week, and goodbye.
See you guys.
The Prestige is a Kaiju Industries production. Check out their other work at facebook.com/Kaiju Industries. Rawr! Arg.